All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a pleasure to have Luisa Gauci here with us today. Luisa is from Down Under. She's from Australia, from a town named Brisbane. She is one of the few women in college baseball today in the US. She's been around the world. She's playing baseball at West LA College, and she's training at one of the best baseball facilities in the country. It's Driveline Baseball, and she also works there. She just accepted a scholarship to play baseball at Green River College in Washington. She's the first female baseball player to play in the Northwest Athletic Conference. Also, she has been a power lifter on the side. She can deadlift 325, probably more by now. And she has a better swing than most of the guys that I've played in college with. So welcome to the show, Luisa.
Thank you so much for having me. It's pretty awesome to be here.
All right, so before we get into it, just out of curiosity, I like to ask our guests something fun to start the show with, sort of a warm-up question. So I guess I figured, what does your game day routine look like from your morning alarm to bedtime?
So my day is actually pretty crazy. It depends what day of the week it is. So let's just say on Monday, for example, I'm going to wake up at 7 a.m. I'm going to go to Driveline, and I'm going to be working from 7 to 12 every single day. And then after I work, I am then training from 12 till 2 o'clock. So that's 2 hours before my college practice actually starts. So usually at that time, I'm doing my HP warm-up, so like high performance warm-up. I'm doing my physical therapy. I'm hitting in the cage. I'm throwing. And then after I do all of that, I then head to my college practice. I'll be at my college practice from around 2 o'clock till 3 o'clock. I'll have an hour break to go get food and maybe drive to our second practice of the day. And then after that, we'll work out until around 8 o'clock at night. And then I'll go home. And then after that, I'll be doing my homework until I go to sleep. And I pretty much do that every single day.
Are you sponsored by Starbucks by now, or?
Oh, I wish. I have a lot of pre-workout.
Hey, I mean, by now, I would say the athletes can get sponsorships now, so this might be a good chance for you.
Yeah, I think I need a wood bat sponsorship before I get a coffee sponsorship, though.
Hey, you never know. So obviously, with your journey, it's been very well documented. From being in Australia to moving to the US and between a few different schools and all that. So obviously that means that there are a lot of different places and there have been a lot of different transitions. So for my job, I work with college athletes. Typically every fall, you'll see a new group of freshmen that come in, and every single one of them has their own, I guess, their rituals, I guess, or how they hit the ground running. So I'm curious as to what your approach felt like from when you came to the US at first, and then you went to West LA, you went to Driveline, and then eventually to Green River. So what was your approach like?
Yeah, so when I came from Brisbane to Australia the first time, Brisbane to America the first time, honestly, it was pretty crazy. I think that my approach was a little more lax, and that I was just kind of showing up to be on the team, not really play. I didn't really know what it looked like to have the mindset that I definitely have now. It just came from experience, but the mindset to actually be a starter, a mindset to actually be playing. I was just kind of always being the girl on the team, and with that came the role of just like sitting the bench and just like doing charts and just being there and not actually contributing as a player per se, but like everyone would put me in like that, oh, you can just coach, you're just here for fun and not really to compete. And so being at West LA, it was actually pretty cool because that was like my first experience where my eyes were open to the fact that this is college baseball. It's a lot harder than baseball in Australia. and I really, really wanted to compete. I really wanted to play. And so I found myself getting really frustrated towards the end of the fall when my coach wasn't giving me opportunities to play when I've been training so hard. So I then learned that it wasn't the fact that I was training as much as I could, but it was more the fact that I just wasn't being smart as an athlete, and I just didn't have the mentality, or like the dog mentality, the alpha mentality, to be being on that field every single day and competing for my team and winning for my team. And then when COVID happened, it was probably the best thing that happened in my life. You know, I went back to Australia. I got to kind of reminisce and just like remember what was happening and just kind of come up with a plan of attack about how I'm going to get myself better, and just like remembering my dreams and my goals, and just like, I don't just want to sit on the bench. I actually want to compete every single day. And so when I got to Driveline, I think that's just like where it all kind of came out. You know, I always say that I was super beta before I came to Driveline, and now I say I have such an alpha mentality. And it's just because of the experiences I've had, the people I live with, the people I train with, my coaches, the experiences I've had, and it all kind of built up to like where I am today. And it's pretty awesome now getting to go to get to go to Green River College now. So it's my second school. And I am finally in this great headspace where I am competing day in, day out. Like I want to beat out my teammates so badly. I'm actually competing. It's fun. I'm having so much fun. And I get to play every single day, which is so awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So I think you kind of touched on something where Driveline, everything sort of came together at Driveline. And I think that really shows how important it is for athletes to find the right environment for them in order to grow. So for example, I work out in my garage, which is fine. It's cool. I enjoy myself. I mean, COVID forced that to happen, but it's not the same as being around your teammates, being around your direct competition, you know? So it's, for me, I think it's something where it's made me, or I guess I'm curious as to what you did to control your environment, if you will.
Okay.
I'm curious what you did during COVID or at Driveline and what you did differently.
Yeah. So during COVID, I had the same garage setup, but mine was outside, like on the patio. And so I still made lifting as important as it was pre-COVID, during COVID. So every single day I was following my routine. It didn't matter like what my parents said. They were saying that I lift too much, that I train too much, didn't understand why I was outside for 4 to 5 hours every single day, getting my throwing, my hitting, my lifting in. But like that's just like what I did in America, and they just didn't see that. So I made it so important that I just ticked off every single box on the days during COVID. And honestly, it like paid off like a lot now. Because in Australia, you know, I kind of say this where it's like I just didn't have my people, where it's like my people are people I see every single day. They all have the exact same goals that I do. And it's just like I want to be with them, and we all want to get better. And it pushes me as an athlete and as a person. And it's super cool that I found that at Driveline. And I say that to my parents a lot when they say, "Oh, do you miss us? Like, you want to come home?" And I'm like, not really, because I am with my people every single day, and I get myself better, I get them better, and we're all achieving this one goal. It's pretty awesome to be a part of something like that. And especially now that I found it in a completely different country, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's great. I'm happy to see that you were able to. You're crushing it right now, so I'm happy to see that. But I had a follow-up question about the transition part. So obviously you're one of the few females who are playing college baseball. So what is your mindset, or what was your preparation to become part of the team where maybe some of your other teammates kind of question your ability to play? I mean, I'm sure some people are like, "Oh, I'm not really sure what it's like," because they've never had that experience before. So I'm curious as to what your approach was. I know that you've spoken about the beta and the alpha mindset. And obviously that comes with, that's part of it, comes with the territory, but I'm curious what your approach was.
Yeah, so my approach pretty much was I just didn't give them a choice to have a opinion. I think if anyone like one of my teammates, I remember this so vividly. He actually trained the drive line with me, and one of the coaches like said, "Oh, he's actually going to Green River with you." And I was like, "Oh, hey, like I'm Luisa. I'm coming to your school." And he was like, looked at me and was like, "I guess that's okay." And I looked at him and I'm like, even if it wasn't, you don't have a choice. Like I'm doing it anyway. So I guess like that's just kind of how it's been with my team. And honestly, I've actually never had anyone say bad comments to my face, especially in a team setting. So I've been really fortunate on that part. And honestly, I've been 3 weeks with my team now, and they're fantastic. They keep up with me on social media. They knew who I was before I even showed up in the team, and they know how hard I've been training and how hard I've been trying. So they know that I'm not just going to be slacking off and just like showing up to show up and just be like a publicity stunt. So it's actually like pretty cool to have the respect of my team. And like we had our first fall game yesterday, and I was starting the second game. I played the entire game, and it was just like something that the coach isn't just giving me opportunities, but like I've been earning them, and I've been earning them before COVID even happened. So this has been like a 3-year process now for this team. And yeah, again, like they don't have a choice. I'm going to show up regardless of what they say.
Yeah, that's great. It's definitely a good thing you have that the goals and you're achieving them. So I guess that leads me into my next thing. I'm curious if it was similar to where your team dynamics, I guess, what are some of the things that you're doing as a team or as a teammate for when you jump in? Like, for example, being at West LA, you moved to America, you probably, I would assume you had some different social norms, different mindsets, different approaches. So I'm curious as to what you did as a teammate when you kind of jumped into a new program, whether it be at West LA or at Green River.
Yeah, I think at West LA it's a little different just because my first school, I was literally straight out of Australia, so everyone like kind of was really easy on me because it was my first year in college. I was only 18, just away from home for the first time. So, just the classic, like hanging out with the guys on the weekend. We'd go to theme parks together. We would go get ice cream together, stuff like that. We played summer ball. It wasn't really a big deal. Like we were all friends. So, I mean, like the teammate thing just kind of came naturally. And I think that's just like where I lulled into like a very complacent mindset where I was just like having fun. I was just young. I'm in college, but I always had these goals of where I wanted to be. And it was really hard when I found myself like getting stuck, and my coaches would tell me that I'm stuck and I need to change something, but then not have a solution of like where to get there. Um, but okay, now with Green River, it's honestly a lot better, like team dynamics. Uh, it's it's pretty awesome. Like these guys, my brothers, like from the second day, to be honest. We like hang out a bunch. We watch football together on Sundays. We've been like having team lunches. We always go out to dinner after practice. It's the little things like that where like team lifts as well. They gave us like optional team lifts because there's a bunch of us that train at Driveline. So what they said is that, oh, if you train at Driveline, then you don't have to come to team lifts. And honestly, I decided to do both. I decided to do Driveline lifts and team lifts because I really wanted to be part of that team culture. And when I found out that I was out lifting some of my teammates, I really like to rub it in their faces that the only girl on the team is beating them. And so that's just like how when I go to team lifts, I try to make everybody feel bad. And so in turn, they go higher weight. It's pretty awesome getting to push my teammates like that. And I love shit talking, so it's pretty good.
No, I like that. So what do you deadlift now?
Oh gosh. I think I maxed out at 385, and then I stopped doing strength phases. I started doing more plyometric phases now.
Gotcha. Interesting. So when you said that you wanted to beat your teammates in the weight room, I did the same exact thing. I would lift with my team, and back in the day in my time, we didn't have a strength coach. We didn't have. You froze up. You said you didn't have a strength coach, and then after that, so we didn't have a strength coach. And we would just kind of just show up and we'd start lifting. So we'd bench, we'd squat, whatever it is. And then I would try to get into lift-offs with my teammates. And then when I would beat them, I'd be like, oh shit, a deaf guy just beat you. Like, that kind of thing. So
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I do.
So I would say you don't see that very often anymore. And I think it's important for development. But I guess a little bit off topic here. Obviously, when you were talking about COVID, you're from Australia. So if I'm understanding right, Australia isn't really considered like a baseball hotbed. For example, I'm just curious as to what your advice is for athletes who might not be from those hotbeds, if you will. So, for example, Texas in football, southern states. At least for me, I'm from the Northeast, and it's not. We don't really have the same type of access to resources or competition or quality of coaches. So I'm curious as to what your advice is for those people who are trying to find resources in their area or are trying to make the most for what they have at their disposal.
Yeah, so I think what I did back in Australia is that I did make the most of every opportunity that I was given. I literally did anything, everything baseball related. I would volunteer all my time coaching youth athletes. I would volunteer my time coaching high performance guys. I would volunteer my time working for our pro teams. And it wasn't per se just to get like my baseball development better, like on the playing field, but it also built my network and how I talk to people and how I approach different things. And so it was pretty cool to just be like showing up to different places and different events and knowing everyone there. And for me, that was pretty cool, and that helped me up the most when I was just like looking for new opportunities. So just like opening up the pathway as much as you can. And I think like more things that helped me was that Driveline had like such an array of like open source information for free, like on their website. And so the thing is, like, I actually did that. I did that for over 2 months. And when it worked, that's when I outsourced and like started paying them to actually help me train. So I did online training for 5 months before I even started training in person at the facility when I got my internship. I actually think it's really important to pay people what they're good at. I know sometimes like it's really hard to like find the money just to pay for stuff like that. But if you have a goal and you have a dream and you're just wasting your time, it comes a time where you need to like prioritize things where it's like, am I going to pay $50 a month for a strength coach? That's going to get me 10 times better and 10 times the amount of time than it is that if I just did it and I wasted like 2 to 3 years on a terrible strength program. And I think I found that a little too late. I only started getting a hitting coach when I was 18, and like I had never hit more than 2 to 3 days a week until I got this hitting coach. And now I hit 6 days a week, like full time, like off a machine, throwing 95 plus. So stuff like that, I just wouldn't have known by just reading and just like kind of sitting at my house doing nothing and maybe going to the cage with my friends some days. I really had to outsource that information and pay for it, which was like, it is what it is. Like sometimes you have to prioritize those things, and that's just where like, do you really want it? And like I mean, I moved to a different country. I haven't seen my family now in over a year and a half. So I definitely took that very seriously, where it was like, I need to remove myself from a situation where I am stagnant, and I need to be putting myself in this position where I am actually getting a lot better in like a faster amount of time than if I was just sitting at home back in Australia.
No, I think so. I appreciate you saying that because a lot of people definitely need to hear that. Honestly, people think they can just Google it, but it's something where there's a lot more to the process than just Googling it. I like how you were talking about networking too. From what I've seen on Instagram, on Facebook, everything on the internet right now seems like it's more and more sub communities, just different communities within baseball. For example, frozen. Different sub communities within baseball. Yeah, so different sub communities within baseball. So like women in baseball, the BIPOC community. So it's a lot of different and a lot of diversity within those sub communities, and they really support each other, and I like that a lot. So for example, I love to see people who talk about empowerment. Um, for example, Rachel Beklovec with the Yankees.
Volkovac.
Yeah, Rachel is one example in how she supports other people and how she helps out. So I'm curious. I know that empowerment is, of course, easier said than done, but I'm curious as to how you empower others.
So, well, I actually donate a lot of my time to Baseball for All, which is a non-for-profit that gives back to girls 18 and younger. I think now that they've actually expanded to college girls. So we just finished up an event last month where they're beginning to start a women's college club program. So they're getting a bunch of schools at every division level. I think the one closest to me is University of Washington, and they're starting club baseball just for women, so they can begin the process of it becoming an NCAA like sport, which is going to be pretty awesome. Like along those lines, like I've also done a bunch of stuff with like Major League Baseball with girls ID tours to get them into programs, and with Driveline we did a youth girls program. Then following into that, we did a youth girls team we took to the Baseball for All Nationals. It's honestly pretty awesome to be a part of like the coaching stuff for these teams, because the girls on those teams have never actually played with another like girl before. So for them being on an entire team filled with girls at a tournament with 600 other girls, it's like it's pretty rewarding. So it's pretty, yeah, it warms my heart. It's definitely like one of my biggest whys to like why I keep doing what I do, and like why I want to break down these barriers. It's something that my teammates don't understand, and it's something that a lot of people don't understand, where there are so many girls out there that want to play baseball, and I'm only one of 5 right now playing at the college level. And in regards to that being like 25,000 boys playing college baseball right now. And so for them to see even 5 that, it's a pretty big deal. And so it's pretty cool to give back in that way, bringing them to events like this, where that's where my love for baseball came from. Because when you're on a boys team, you're usually the worst or the middle player on every single team. And when you go to these girls tournaments, it's pretty awesome because you're just like starting every game, you can actually compete, you're playing baseball, you're hitting the ball like 200 feet plus, like for them anyway. And they get to have fun, because I think sometimes people forget the fun aspect, especially when like kind of like grinding nose to the wall every single day, trying to like make practice as hard as you can because you're trying to compete at a high level. And then you get to go to these events and it's like, this is so fun. I'm with my friends, like I'm having a great time. There's all these people exactly like me, and you make lifelong friends from that. So
Yeah, that's awesome. We need to see more of that as well across all other sports. I like how you said University of Washington. I'm an alumni from University of Washington, so I like that a lot. So I wanted to add something. Obviously, you're a role model, whether you like it or not. You're a role model. So I wanted to ask you how that has changed your platform personally, not as a D1 female baseball player, but you personally. How has that affected your approach to life? How has that affected your performance in school and work and what you do?
honestly, it's pretty awesome because I have actually never changed my approach. From the minute I started playing baseball, I knew the platform that I had and was going to have. And so I made every conscious effort to fit those shoes from the beginning. And so the lifestyle I live right now is the lifestyle I've been living my entire life, which is honestly, it is rewarding because from the beginning, the only thing I ever posted on Instagram was just like, okay, I just networked with this amount of people in professional baseball, or like this amount of people in my club, and all my coaches are following me on social media. So what do they want to see? And what am I going to show them that this is what I'm doing, that I'm going to continue doing this, and that this is the path I'm on. And so I guess like on the social media aspect, like that's just it. I only post about baseball stuff, or I post about like pretty normal standard activities that I do in this safe space, I guess. But like that's something that has never changed for me. I used to get, I wouldn't say I get bullied about it, but people definitely give me a lot of grief about my like me just posting about baseball, about training, about like where I'm hiking to that weekend. And honestly, like that's okay. A lot of people tell me to be like a normal 20-year-old girl. And that's like my biggest pet peeve is when someone says that, because that is completely not true. I am the only person in the entire world living my life right now, doing what I'm doing. I work at the #1 baseball facility in the entire country. I have a baseball scholarship at Green River College, and I'm from Australia. My entire family is not here, and I live alone. I moved out of a country at 18. And so for someone to tell me, oh, you should act your age, is an incredible insult to me. So, and I think like that's just like how I've always lived, where yeah, I had these really big dreams and these really big goals, and I made my lifestyle surround that. So yeah, I mean, my work is my work. I love everything I do. My life is pretty awesome. Like I get to train every single day at the best facility. I get to be at college every single day, and I get to study like what I love. So it's really cool that I built this. Yeah.
Hey, that's not a bad life, right? It's been interesting for sure. Obviously, you said you're one of 5 females in college baseball right now. So I'm curious, from, I guess, the support network standpoint. So of course you talked about your network, but more so your support network. Is there anything that you've been doing in particular other than tournaments and different events and the nonprofit you spoke about? But I guess, how do you develop your support network for yourself as well as each other? Because of course you guys are in such limited numbers, and it's not the same as having, I guess, like a hotline number to call. So I guess what do you do?
Yeah, so I actually was thinking about this yesterday because I had my first full game yesterday and I played really well. And the thing is, I had to text around 8 or 9 people to tell them how I went. And I always thought to myself, how do I get to this point where I have to tell literally everybody in my life how my game went, because they're all going to ask me if I don't tell them, like either the next day or when I see them on Monday. And it kind of just came to me when I was just like working hard, asking questions, being at the right place at the right time, having the right like mindset. And those people just like kind of attracted to me and like stayed with me. Those are the people that don't give up on me. They haven't left my side, always checking up on me, making sure that I'm on the right path. Um, yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, of course, a bunch of them are driveline people, and a bunch of them aren't. A bunch of them are my old teammates. Some of them people I've known for like 8 or 9 years. My best friends back in Australia. Uh, yeah, I mean, like yeah, and then in my downtime, I guess like I'm just calling my family back home, and they're my support network outside of baseball. So they're the ones that just making sure that mentally I'm okay and just giving me the family gossip that I missed out on for the week.
Gotcha. Yeah, so now that leads me to my next question, kind of. So you said you're one of 5 women. I think that number should be higher. What would be your advice for the up and coming women in sports right now? So not only baseball, but other sports as well.
To
What would,
not be scared, and to just do it. I think people, when they overthink things and question things and get scared, is when they don't want to do it. My biggest advice is, if you really want to do it, you're gonna do it. If you ever had any doubt in your mind that you don't want to do it, then you won't. It's pretty simple.
yeah, yeah, straightforward answer. I like it. It's very important. I think people need to make that commitment in their minds before they do anything. So before they make that jump, and then sometimes if you second guess it, it's not going to happen. So obviously, I know that you have a busy year coming up. I'm wondering, what does Luisa Gauci have in store for 2021 and 2022?
So 2021, I think the biggest goal for me is going to be playing as many fall games as I can and competing with my team to have the best shot for 2022 for the spring season. We have 2 more months left of fall ball, and then I'll have 1 month off, just like off from school practice, where I'll be back at driveline, like 100%, I guess. But thing is, like, my training doesn't change. So I mean, like, for the rest of this year, I'm just gonna be grinding out for the fall, trying to like put my position, like set position in, try to beat out the other two second basemen. I really want to go down to the Arizona Fall League, and I applied for that through MLB. Like, they do a bunch of like diversity events. So hopefully I get into that and then spend a week down in Arizona, getting to scout some guys, which would be pretty sick. Yeah, 2022 is going to be exciting. It's going to be my first actual season of playing college baseball, which I'm really excited about. Then hopefully with summer comes around, I'll be playing for the driveline team in the West Coast League, which is the goal. And yeah, I think after that, I'll probably still be at Green River for the 2022-2023 season is the plan. I have all my eligibility back, so I still have 4 years. So I'll be like 26 and still in college, which is going to be exciting. But yeah, I think that long term, my 5 year plan is to be a hitting coordinator by the time I am 25. So I want to be out of college and into a coordinator position in professional baseball.
Yeah. I won't be shocked if you get it. I mean, the way you've been going, the way you've been grinding, and how much ground you've covered, I have no doubts that you'll get there. So you have our full support. And now for this, the support part, where can people find you? Where can the viewers find you online?
So
the internet.
Yeah, you can Google me on literally every social networking platform. It's just my first name, my last name, so Luisa Gauci. And I am on everything. My DMs are always open. I always love answering questions, especially from young girls. A lot of parents send me videos of girls like hitting, and I give them tips. It's pretty awesome.
Awesome, great. So thank you again. I can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. And we wish you the best of luck for this year as well as next year. Hopefully you're staying jacked and I'll keep up with the work.
So thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, hey, good luck. And I'll stop the recording now.